All right. Hello, everyone. It's fantastic to have you with us today. My name is Tobias Nemeth. I'm leading the Primary Packaging Service and Projects Department. And today I will talk about the features and properties of OVS Next and take you behind the scenes of our product development.
So thank you, Tobias, and welcome from me as well, directly live from Ravensburg. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are, in which region of the world. My name is Daniela Geiger. I am Product and Service Manager at FEDER, and today I'm also pleased to present with you our very established V-OVS system and how FEDER is experienced in assembling syringe systems. And I'm very happy to be here and very excited also to have your feedback on this topic. So I am happy to start presenting, first of all, a little bit about FEDER for the ones who doesn't know us. We are a global leader in aseptic fill and finish. We have more than 40 years of experience in manufacturing sterile injectables. We have more than 120 FDA and AMA approved products currently filled at our facilities. And 80% of our customers' projects are active complex biologic products. This is what we are good at. We have cutting safe technology and process and state-of-the-art facilities in Ravensburg, Germany, in Rankval in Austria, and also our clinical facilities in Chicago, USA. So a little bit about overview of positioning of syringe systems in the market. Today, there's a syringe positioning and a corresponding closure system available in the market for every segment. So basically, we have the lock and Luer count systems. Currently, they are strongly positioned to ophthalmic products, cosmetic products, especially hyaluronic acid products, vaccines, and also diluents. On the other hand, we also have a stake needle who are today preferred choice for new products in prefilled syringes and are usually typically used in auto-injectors and also commonly used with safety devices. Here are the points of care are a little bit different. Stake needles and auto-injectors, they are also very strongly presented in the home care segment. There's also a range of requirements which are possible for specific indications and market needs. First of all is the integrity of the system, which should prevent, of course, contaminants from getting in and safely secure the contents in the syringe. The second and very important is human factor, proven human factors that you should have with your system. So the system should be easy to open and should be easy to open for the users and the patients. And third is very important for our V-OVS closure is the tamper-evident. And it must be easy to see when the closure has been previously opened. So side note, FEDER's V-OVS was the first tamper closure evident system in the market to be launched, and it's pretty established. Compatibility with sterilization as well. It must be possible to sterilize with different common agents like ethylene oxide, H2O2. Functionality, it must be data must be available on the functionality of the system, and today we are also glad to present you some insights about that in our V-OVS and documentation as well. It should be documented according to the latest regulatory documents. FEDER has extensive experience with, FEDER has extensive experience with closure systems. We have a global network, including all major industry suppliers in packaging, molding, machinery, and also glass suppliers. We have a diverse portfolio of prefilled syringes, which we assemble also in-house. Only in the last 3 years, we have launched 19 products in prefilled syringes in diverse formats, including safety devices, auto-injectors, but also the luer locks, which we have in-house. And our in-house innovation is the V-OVS, which was developed by FEDER about 20 years ago. Only in-house, we have currently more than 40 in-house implementations. The products are presented globally around the world in different markets. So this is something we are very glad and very proud of this development. And this is the V-OVS, as you know, as of today, with our unique tamper-evident seal, which indicate product integrity. There's an option to meet diverse product needs. There's multiple rubber formulations which we are able to offer to the market. Also customizable connections. So our customers are very flexible in terms of the needles that they can assemble. There's also devices. And there's also the familiar handling of the V-OVS, which it's opened by Tilton, which is also pretty established. This is also a feature that Tobias later on will present with the V-OVS next, how that it's even more intuitive for patients, customers, healthcare professionals. So basically, as said, we are 20 years on the market with a strong differentiation, premium look, showing advanced functionality for a diverse range of syringes, of indications. And this is also supported by long-term relationships that we have with our suppliers, with our customers, getting their feedback on the product and integrating this also in the new development, which we are presenting to you right now. And this is the evolution that we are presenting now. It's to keep your product one step ahead, to make it even more easy for healthcare professions to use it, is even more safe. This is and that was the objective of this development, having the healthcare professionals in mind. And to talk a little bit more about that in detail, presenting the product, its functionalities, I'm very glad to pass the ball to Tobias Nemeth, and I see you later also in our Q&A.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniela. Let's have a first look on the OVS Next system. We're bringing it up in a second. All right. So let's have a first look on the OVS Next. You will recognize that we have significantly modified its outer appearance, as we want OVS Next to be more intuitive to open. We have added rubber arrows on top of the cap, like here, that indicate the opening principle of OVS Next. And this remains unchanged from OVS. OVS Next, as well as OVS, is opened by tilting the top cap back and forth. And these arrows indicate on how to do it. We have also added grip-in surfaces where the user is supposed to hold the device during opening. We not only want it to be more intuitive to open, we also want it to be more functional. And for this reason, we are working on a new tip cap design that will prevent drug spillage during opening. So any syringe that is closed with a tip cap has some risk of drug spillage during opening. This has something to do with the under pressure that is created during the opening. And so with this new design, we're working on reducing this risk. OVS today is used on a number of different syringe formats, from 0.5 ml up to 5 milliliter. And with this new design and a decreased size, we wanted to be an optimal fit exactly for this broad range of syringe formats, especially for the smaller formats like 0.5 ml, as mainly used for ophthalmics. All right, so that was the outer look. Let's now have a look under the hood of OVS Next. We not only wanted to be more intuitive to open, we also wanted to be easier to open by reducing the handling forces required to open the cap and to break the seals. To achieve this, we have redesigned the connecting seals between the top and the lower cap, and we have also reduced their size. At the very same time, we also want OVS Next to sit tightly on the shoulder, increasing the removal forces of OVS Next from the syringe. And for this reason, we have completely redesigned how OVS Next is held on the syringe shoulder. We have introduced a holding ring, and you can see it here. It's this small transparent part, and that tightly connects OVS Next to the syringe shoulder. We have already talked about the tip cap and the smaller size. So that was a first look on the form and also the features of OVS Next. The design of OVS Next is defined, and I would like to share with you now some of the experiences that we have made very early in the development project. So let's jump right back in time to the very early start of our development activities for OVS Next. When you start such a development, you typically begin with an ideation and concept draft phase. And the output of such phase would be CAD drawings of the parts and also potential alterations. And you take these drawings and you put them directly into prototype tooling. You make parts, you produce them, you assemble them, and you functionally test them to find out whether they are according to your expectations. However, and well, it will never fit on the very first trial. If it doesn't be according to your expectations, you need to go back into the ideation and concept draft phase, do alterations, and move back into prototype tooling. And you repeat this cycle for as long as your expectations are met. You can imagine that that takes quite some time and also is quite costly because you're already working in tooling. Now, for OVS Next, we have used a different approach. We have added a virtual concept evaluation in between those two phases. So virtually, we checked for manufacturability by means of a mold flow analysis of the material that is used in a rather complex tool, as you might imagine. That is pretty much state of the art today. However, we have also added a virtual functionality assessment by means of a finite element method. And what we did was we have simulated various functional tests on the glass syringes purely virtually. And you can see one of these tests in this picture here. You can see the holding ring. It's this rather colorful piece in this simulation that is responsible to hold and to tightly fix OVS Next on the syringe shoulder. And you can see a syringe in this kind of net structure. And during this simulation, we test for removal forces, which means we pull the holding ring from the syringe shoulder. And as we do so, you can see deformations of the holding ring. You can see friction in the different colors that are shown here. And this will all calculate into a removal force that we can use to compare this design with various other designs. So with this approach, we were able to run multiple cycles, multiple designs in a rather short period of time and at a fraction of the cost that it would take to make many different prototype toolings. So once we found a design that was most promising, we virtually approved this concept, put the design into prototype tooling, and then did functional and also usability testing. Before we have a look into those results of functional and usability testing, I would like to quickly talk about how user-centric development may be integrated into such a development program. So typically you start with formative studies, and we have done so by having 2 formative user studies right at the start of the project during the design phase. I will talk about these results in a minute. We will also add a pre-summative evaluation later on that is currently planned for Q4 2026. Our customers, the pharmaceutical companies, they would need to do a summative testing with their final product anyway. However, with that pre-summative evaluation, we try to get more data in order to support also their own later summative testing. This is all accompanied by functional studies. So we work with, according to ISO 8369 and of course ISO 11040, and also add more tests to that, like the opening force and the retention force, because they are important to us. And finally, we will document everything according to MDR Annex 1 and also according to 21 CFR Part 4 in order to have a document package to support our customers during their later process. All right, so let's have a look at the results of our usability testing. So in our first user evaluation, we evaluated product and user related feedback. And well, with that study, we employed healthcare professionals. We had 7 participants in this study. And well, I mentioned before that we want OVS Next to be more intuitive to open. And we really put that statement to the test in that study. To test the intuitiveness of the system, we did not provide any kind of IFU, any kind of training or hints on how to use OVS Next. We made sure that those healthcare professionals have never opened the existing OVS. And so we were sure that they were really naive towards OVS Next and the handling principle of OVS. So basically, we asked them to prepare a syringe with OVS Next and a cannula and make it ready for injection. We done that in several formats, and at a later point of the study, we also asked them to compare OVS Next with OVS Next, with OVS. I will talk about the results in a minute. Let's also have a look on our second user evaluation. So this time we employed lay users. They had some self-injection experience in a home care setting, but never have used OVS before. Again, we employed 7 participants. And there was also another objective to this study. There is a new draft guidance of the FDA called URA, which stands for Use-Related Risk Analysis. This is used to identify, analyze, and also describe user-related risks associated with the combination product. It's still yet a draft guidance, not being effective right now, but we have also included it in that study because we think that providing these data to our customers will support them in their later submission process. The process of that study was pretty much comparable to the one we've already seen. Again, we asked them to prepare OVS Next with cannulas and make it ready for injection. However, this time we provided a written IFU, a draft IFU that we have made for this study and that they were able to read through before the study. We also asked them to compare OVS Next with OVS, just like in the study before. So now let's have a look on the results. And basically, this was a very successful study for us because each and every participant found the tilt indicator we have on top of the cap a very helpful design element. And all participants rated the grip surfaces as sufficiently prominent, and they were all able to recognize it and held the cap where they were supposed to. So finally, the opening system was understood and also executed correctly. And finally, all participants were able to correctly connect the cannula by screwing it in and also firmly attach it. So finally, our efforts in user-centric design and user-centric development really paid out at the end. And in comparison of OVS Next with OVS, also OVS Next was rated better than OVS by all our test participants. All right, so let's also have a look into our functional testing. During functional testing, we want to simulate well, the manufacturing process, the use of the system, and we also want to understand a potential misuse of the system. So to simulate the manufacturing, we test for the mounting of OVS Next onto the syringe cone. And we simulate its opening by measuring the force needed to tilt the cap. However, simulating and also understanding the misuse of the system is a bit more complex. A patient may try to open the cap by, well, simply pulling at it. Or a patient may try to open the system by twisting the cap. Both is considered misuse, and during functional testing, we want to understand its implications on the overall system. So if a patient pulls on the cap, there is a risk that the overall system might be removed from the system. And if a patient twists the cap, the overall system might be twisted on the syringe cone. So we want to map each of those forces to find out how the system will behave. So let's have a more detailed look onto the potential misuse of the system. Currently, we try to integrate a safety margin in case of potential misuse. This means that even if a user tries to forcefully pull on the cap, like it is shown here, the system would still remain safely locked on the syringe barrel. So the removal force of the system would be higher than the force required to open the cap by pulling at it. And the very same applies to the torque force on the cap. Also here, we try to introduce a safety margin so that the cap might be opened by twisting, while the OVS Next system will remain tightly locked on the syringe barrel. All right, so I would like to conclude this technical part with a short summary. We have learned that, well, the use of innovative development methods may save time and also resources, but we also know that those methods are quite hard to validate if not proper data is at hand. And we were able to validate our new data model just because we have 20 years of experience with OVS, and we had 20 years of functional data that we could use to fill in our model to make sure that the results we get for OVS Next are close to reality. We know that documentation is key for our customers and for their submission. So we have decided to document according to MDR Annex 1 and also 21 CFR Part 4. We know that functional testing is key to understand the properties of the system, but it is also of extreme importance to understand the user, and you do that by applying human factor testing. Well, the true magic happens when you put both together. And so we are today working on, let's say, adding safety margins, even in misuse conditions, to allow the system to work no matter what. What we should not forget, I mean, the safety margin discussion is important. We believe so. But on the other hand, our human factor work, and this was proven in the human factor trials that we've done, it really paid out because with the intuitive of the system, we also reduced the likelihood of mishandling. Thanks to the outer design and the efforts we put in to design the device in a proper way that is understandable by users, even though they might not read the IFU properly. All right, so with that, I would like to close the technical part and back to you, Daniela, for a final look on the project timeline and also the next steps.
So thank you so much, Tobias, for your presentation. Really incredible to see the the hard work that was done and the milestones that we have achieved with the development and presenting that to you today. What are the next steps? We are targeting for commercialization in year 2027. So the most part of the development is now have been finalized. We are entering industrialization phase now, where we are building capacity to offer you with commercial goods for the launch right on time in year 2027. We want to make it a possible transition or implementation for new products as smooth as possible. We are using the same contact materials as the established V-OVS as it is. It is a proven technology on the market, as said, already implemented for multiple products, has a global presence. Regulatory knows the closure, customer knows the closure. So we wanted to make this change as smooth as possible to our customers, to our partners, to pharma customers, but also to the end users that will use the system in the end. So I think that's it from our side. So with limited time in hand, so I invite you to get more information about V-OVS Next. There's a micro page, so you can check it on the 3 data matrix code, which is available in here. And also get in contact with us. So we are very happy to stay in closer contact. We will also be presented at Pharma Pack. I know some of you possibly may be there. So I also invite you to meet us face to face there.